Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video here to continue covering the Steam Summer Sale. You guys have been showing a lot of love for these videos, so I really appreciate it. And by a lot of love, I mean that the likes have been insane, the views have been insane, you guys have been leaving a lot of supportive comments, and that does warm my cold and dark heart, so I really do appreciate it. But one of the top-rated comments in the last video was a request to do games under the price of $20, and the person mentioned that this is the price point where a lot of people are looking to pick up high-quality games at this price point. You know, sometimes when we go under 10, under 5, they might be, you know, really, really old games. Under 20 is interesting because what you guys are going to notice is that there's a lot of JRPG love in this video. So if you don't like JRPGs, I am sorry. But the thing is, JRPGs tend to hold up in price, and they bottom out usually at the $15 to $20 range. So you see a lot of that available. Outside of, like, the Bandai Namco JRPGs, like the Square Enix JRPGs really do hit that $15 to $20 price threshold, and they don't get cheaper. There's definitely some other stuff here. There's a lot of great deals, but a lot of JRPG love. So with that out of the way, let's get right into it. And I remember seeing this deal and immediately telling one of my boys to pick it up, and I'll tell all of you guys to pick it up as well. NieR Automata, 50% off for $19.99. This game is awesome. Platinum Games did a phenomenal job with this game from an action standpoint. The gameplay is great. The soundtrack is tremendous. The story initially can be a little bit confusing, but after you complete the game entirely, it does come together, and this is just a fantastic, fantastic game. I do recommend NieR Replicant as well, but Automata is the stronger game, and just so many great battles, so many great scenes. Soundtrack, like I said, is great. $20 is a no-brainer here. Would definitely give that a look. Next up, we have Detroit Become Human. 50% off for $19.99. I wish this was at the $14.99 or hell, even the $9.99 tier, but this has not been going cheaper since it came out back in June of 2020. So $20 is what it is. Detroit's a good game. If you're into more mature narrative-driven games, Detroit's going to be exactly for you. It's a futuristic title that really tackles a lot of different thematics in an interesting world that I think is very much something people want to discuss. Obviously an over-the-top version, but definitely a discussion point that I think people can find fascinating. So I would highly recommend it, and what I always say about these story-driven games is I would recommend you to play it blind the first time through. That, in my opinion, is how these games should be experienced. If you want to go back and then use a guide and everything like that, go for it, but I think you should just immerse yourself into the game and, you know, go through it. Don't bother looking up guides and things like that. I think you should just go through it. It's a great game, $19.99. Definitely go check that out. Chained Echoes, 20% off for $19.99. This is a more recent release, so that's why it's not as steep of a discount, but man, if you're a fan of throwback RPGs, this game is so, so good. A well-done turn-based JRPG that has a great art style that, again, is a throwback to that 16-bit style. They were going for 16-bit and PS1 influence with this game, and man, that hits home really well. Story's great. Game's got a lot of content. $19.99 I think is a great price, so go check that out. Definitely a worthwhile one there. Next up, Walking Dead Telltale Definitive Series. I mentioned Walking Dead Season 1 in the Under 5 video, I believe, but man, if you just want to get the whole thing in one rip, the Telltale Definitive Series is a great pickup. This gets you Seasons 1 through 4, 400 Days, and The Walking Dead Michonne. What you're getting is over 50 hours of gameplay, 23 episodes. Now, are all Walking Dead seasons created equal? No. I think Walking Dead peaks with Season 1 and 2. Season 3 is okay, and Season 4 is really good as well. It's good. Man, I like Season 1 and 2 the best. Like, and with Season 1 especially, I like the best. But overall, it's a great episodic story, and I would highly recommend it. I played Walking Dead, the Telltale series, before I watched The Walking Dead. At this point now, I've watched The Walking Dead, at least a lot of it. But yeah, I played the Telltale series first, and I had a fantastic time with it, so I would highly recommend it. $19.99 is a good price on this. Next up, another great JRPG series, Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel, 50% off for $19.99. Kind of a relevant recommendation as Trails to Reverie is coming out this Friday. Now, don't even worry about Trails to Reverie, because if you're going to be picking up Trails of Cold Steel, that tells me at best you've played the Sky Trilogy and the Crossbell arc, and for a lot of you guys, you're probably jumping right into Trails of Cold Steel. Legend of Heroes is a vast JRPG franchise that is honestly pretty daunting, and I can understand why people can't get into it, because there's so much content that you have to consume if you want to get everything. There's a lot of people that'll say, don't start off with Trails of Cold Steel. I'm of the mindset that Trails of Cold Steel is a decent starting standpoint, because if you go back and you play the Sky Trilogy, or you play the Crossbell games, which the Crossbell games just got localized recently, those games absolutely show their age. Trails of Cold Steel, I'm not saying is the best looking game on the planet, but it's a good enough looking game where I think people can still get into it and not be off-put by the visual style or anything like that. And yeah, and I know I recommended Chained Echoes earlier, but that's a throwback art style. Like, the older Legend of Heroes games certainly show their age, and I think Trails of Cold Steel is an okay starting point. If you want to play the older games, by all means do it. It's just these games are some of the best JRPGs from a world building and narrative standpoint that you are going to find. Now, not every game is a slam dunk home run, but they have a crazy good batting average, and Trails of Cold Steel 1 is a great game that, yes, a lot of Cold Steel 1 is setting the table for the rest of the Cold Steel arc, but the second half of this game and right into Cold Steel 2, it's just insane what they are managing to pull off from a storytelling standpoint. So, my diatribe over. I don't want to get into spoilers, but also the ending of Cold Steel 1, absolutely insane. But $19.99 is a good buy. If you're into JRPGs, check it out. Again, it's just a daunting, arduous process to go through all the games. You're talking, 80 to 100 hours a game, so there's a lot to go through. Next up, Red Dead Redemption 2, 67% off for $19.79. One of my favorite games of all time. Like, RDR2 is a tremendous game with one of the best main characters that you are going to find in gaming, Arthur Morgan. And hell, if we get that RDR1 remaster, we're going to get another one of the best characters in all of gaming finally on PC, and John Marston. Marston, obviously, in RDR2. But RDR2 is great. You don't need to play RDR1 to enjoy RDR2. RDR2 is a prequel to RDR1. Great game, a lot of content and a lot of variety in the content, but the thing is, you don't gotta do all the content. You can go right through the main story and have a very satisfying experience doing that. You can dabble in some of the side content and figure out what you want to do, or you could go for the 100% run, which is definitely a long undertaking, but the game is great. Voice acting is excellent, visuals are great. RDR2 is one of my favorite games of all time, and I strongly, strongly recommend it. Next up, Persona 5 Strikers. It is down to $19.79. Really good deal for P5 Strikers, for sure. I would recommend you to play Persona 5 Royal first. That's obviously at a higher price point right now, over $30, but P5 Strikers is a good game that goes in the form of a Musou style game, so a fast-paced action game, but I was surprised at how much I enjoyed this game. Like, I thought it was like, okay, maybe Sega's looking at how well Persona 5 did and they're trying to throw together a sequel, but no, I thought it was like just genuinely a pretty solid game that had the love of a Persona game, like the style and the aesthetics, but also had a different gameplay loop to it that made it pretty enjoyable all the same. So, at this price point, $19.79, I think it's a good buy. Speaking of Persona, gotta give a shout out to Persona 4 Golden, which is 25% off for $14.99. For a lot of people, they prefer Persona 4 over Persona 5. I don't know if I'm in agreement with that, but Persona 4 was a tremendous game. I initially played Golden when it came out on the PS Vita, and PS Vita be damned, but Persona 4 Golden on a handheld was fantastic, and P4G is just a tremendous, tremendous game. Great story, great cast of characters, soundtrack is awesome. Strongly recommended at this price, no brainer. Next up, we got Forza Horizon 4, 67% off for $19.79. Now, the Forza Horizon games have a lot of bonus content. There's a deluxe edition for $28 and an ultimate edition for $35. I personally bought the base game on Steam, and that's what I usually do with Forza Horizon. I love the Horizon games myself, Forza Horizon that is. We'll get to the other Horizon game in a little bit, but Forza Horizon is a game that I can always get into, and I usually, when they come out, I'll play them on Game Pass, and then when they go on sale, I buy them on Steam to own them because they're games I can jump back into. And with the licensing stuff, I just want to own those games. Yeah, Forza Horizon 4 is great. A lot of content. Soundtrack is good. And, these are games where I can just mentally tune out and just enjoy racing around an open world, doing some activities. It's a fun time, and I always enjoy them. So, sub $20, goodbye there. Next up, we have Divinity Original Sin 2 Definitive Edition. Obviously, Larian Studios kind of in the news right now as they're about to put out Baldur's Gate 3, but Divinity Original Sin 2 was a tremendous RPG. Now, I wasn't of the mindset of a lot of other people where they thought this was like the best RPG of all time, but honestly, it seems like I'm in the minority with that line of thinking. Like, more people seem to think this is one of the best RPGs of all time than my line of thinking, where I just think it's a really good game. It's got a lot of depth to it. You can play it with friends, and that is probably the best way to play the game, but you can still enjoy it alone. The environments and the visuals are actually one of the sleeper elements of the game. I think it looks really good, so you know, pretty solid game, obviously narratively quite strong as well. So check that out. At $17.99, pretty good deal there. There is a Divine Edition that's available for a little more. Next up, Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana. This is 55% off for $18. Man, Ys 8 is awesome and a great starting point for Ys fans. Ys, you can jump into it wherever. They all kind of have their standalone story with Adol as the main character. Great game. Soundtrack is really good. Obviously, it shows its age. Like, Ys is never going to be a franchise that really blows you away from a visual standpoint, but, you know, it's a good game, and the action gameplay is solid, and overall, thought it was a pretty good game from a story standpoint as well. At this price of $17.99, I think it's a really good deal, and I would give it a shout. Next up, Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition, 67% off for $16.49. Man, Horizon is a game that I love. Zero Dawn especially. Forbidden West, I thought got off the rails from a narrative standpoint in the second half, but Zero Dawn is really, really great, and, you know, the story in this game is so strong. The world building is really strong. I know some people go back and forth on the gameplay. I think the gameplay is pretty good. Like, the bow and arrow stuff, I think it's fine, and you have all of this different equipment you can use. Maybe play it at a more challenging difficulty, and you'll get more out of it from a gameplay standpoint, but I really had a good time with Zero Dawn, and for $16.49, I think it's a really good buy. You get the Frozen Wilds DLC, which is a low-key, like, a really, really good expansion. So $16.49 for this, definitely a good buy. Another PlayStation title, we got Days Gone, 67% off for $16.49. Man, Days Gone was a game that has built up such a cult following of people that are desperate to get a sequel. Like, there have been only a few games where I've seen as much desperation to get a sequel for than I have in Days Gone. Like, people want a Days Gone sequel so badly. I thought the game was good. Its PlayStation 4 release was really handcuffed by its technical limitations, and that's obviously mostly removed on the PC release. There's some hiccups here and there, but it is a far, far better experience, and what you're getting here is a solid open world game. It's not the best PlayStation open world release, far from it, but it's a good one, and there's still a lot of fun to be had. The most glaring criticism for this game is this one of those games that could really have been done better if some of the content of the game was just straight up shaved out. Like, it kind of overstayed its welcome towards the end, and you know, it would have been better from that regard, but, you know, more content's not necessarily a bad thing, and $16.49 I think is a good price. Great PC port here as well. Next up, Resident Evil Village, 50% off at $19.99. Gold Edition is $30. RE Village is a great game, one of my favorite titles of 2021. One of those titles that really is continuing to help bring Resident Evil back to the forefront. By the release of Village, like, Resident Evil was already back, but yeah, Village is a great game. Great visuals in this one, not super lengthy, but the atmosphere is tremendous, and if you've been playing Resident Evil, Village is one worthwhile to play. I would recommend you to play Biohazard first, though, so keep that in mind. Next up, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, $14.99, 75% off. This is just a disgusting deal. Like, the value you're getting out of this is just absurd. Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, and all of the game's respective DLCs. This is BioWare at their peak form. Say what you want about Mass Effect 3's ending. Mass Effect 3 is still a great game. Mass Effect 2 is legitimately one of the best games of all time. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. Like, it seems like if you look at, like, top 10 games of all time list, Mass Effect 2 is usually in the mix, and Mass Effect 1 was great in 2007. They did what they can to, you know, bring it back to a modern audience, but you know, it still shows its age, but it's still a really good game. All three for $15 is just stellar. So much replayability, so much great writing in the game as well. Just a fantastic game with a lot of content. Highly recommend Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Next up, we have Monster Hunter World at 50% off for $14.99. They do have the Iceborne Master Edition for $30. Monster Hunter World isn't a game that's going to hook you from a story standpoint, but man, if you want quality gameplay, a lot of big behemoths to fight, Monster Hunter is going to offer you that. It's probably not for everyone, but if you want a game that's going to have a sizable amount of things to do, a little bit of grind in there as well, World is going to be a great time. Probably a sequel in the works for this, one would have to imagine. $15 though, great deal on that. Next up, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. We got this for 75% off, $14.99. I really enjoyed DBZ Kakarot. There are things that definitely did irk me. Some of the iconic DBZ moments were cut out. Not to go into spoilers, but off the top of my head, I believe they cut out, like, Gohan's Masenko on Nappa, which I don't know about you guys, that was like an iconic moment, and like just seeing that get cut out was so jarring. I guess spoilers, spoiler alert, but most of you guys picking up DBZ Kakarot are probably already familiar with the DBZ storyline, and I'm giving you guys spoiler alerts after I drop the spoiler, but nevertheless, great game. you know, after the Cell arc, I don't really vibe with the Boo arc, but that's just my personal opinion. I thought everything up until the Cell arc was great, and they do recreate a lot of the moments really, really well, and a sizable amount of content. The thing is, there are a couple of DLC packs and things like that, so that is a little bit of something to consider. Like, if you want all the content, you gotta buy the Legendary Edition, which is $60. The Deluxe Edition is $21.24. The thing is, they just dropped Season Pass 2, which includes, like, the Bardock DLC, there's a World Tournament DLC, and a third DLC that hopefully has something to do with Broly. Like, if they don't do a Broly DLC, they're leaving money on the table, but I digress. $14.99 for the base game is really good. Next up, Final Fantasy 15 Windows Edition, $17.49 on this. Man, FF15 was one of those games that I was so looking forward to when it was coming out in 2016. Obviously a game that had such an arduous development cycle, and it's still a good game. And the Windows Edition, the thing about this is it includes all the DLC content, which really does refine the game a lot. There are some shortcomings with the game for sure, but the action combat system is good. The soundtrack is great. Exploration is great. Visuals are stellar in this game. You know, at this point, it is 7 years old, so keep your expectations in line, but it still looks great, and a lot of great boss battles. FF15 is solid. Hopefully we'll get FF16 soon on PC, but I wouldn't imagine that will be until 2024, but yeah, 15's a good time, and, you know, you're not going into the game with the hype and the expectation that I had for the game, you know, a decade of waiting. It was going to be hard for it to live up to my hype, but nevertheless, it's a good game, and at this price, I think you'll enjoy it. Another Final Fantasy title, FF10 10 and 10-2 HD Remaster. Final Fantasy X is an all-time classic. There are rumblings that there's going to be a full-on remake for this game, but that won't come out until 2026, which would be the 25th anniversary of FF10, so take that for what you will. FF10 is great. It's one of those Final Fantasy games that I feel like was unanimously loved. I love the sphere grid system. The story was great. Obviously, it's a game from 2001, as great of an HD remaster can be. You're seeing a lot of dated elements. Some of the voice acting, the stiff animations, we could all, like, just hilariously laugh at Titus laughing, so, but, nevertheless, it's a great game, and the cinematics in this game, in the PS2 days, the early PS2 days, they looked tremendous. You know, $15 for as much content as you're getting, it's a good buy, and I would definitely give it a shout. Next up, another great JRPG, Scarlet Nexus, 75% off for $14.99. Man, I love Scarlet Nexus, and I thought it was pretty underrated. It was a game that I really, really had a great time with. Two playable main characters in Yuto and Kasane, leaving the game, you know, worthwhile to go through twice, and really, that's how you get the most out of the game. Combat is good, soundtrack is super underrated. The thing about this game is that there's not a lot of cutscenes in the game, and a lot of the game is told through a visual novel style, so that might off-put some people. There is exploration and things like that, but, like, the scenes themselves often play out in, like, visual novel style, so keep that in mind, but $15, good deal on that. And lastly, I want to give a shout to ANNO Mutationem, which is 40% off for $14.99. Good deal here. Throwback pixel art style that looks really, really great. The whole world of this game looks really good. The cyberpunk action title, 2D and 3D style. The combat, you know, is very simple at first, but does have a little bit of more depth as you unlock more abilities. But I had a good time with this game. The visual style is definitely what hooked a lot of people into it. But yeah, $15 is a good price in my eyes. That is going to do it for me. Again, a ton of great deals. We went kind of long in this video, but you know what? If you're dropping $20 or, you know, $15 to $20 on a game, it's better that we go in depth on some of these games, because that is a sizable amount of money to drop on a Steam sale. I know, like, $15 to $20 on a game, that sounds like pretty good, but on a Steam sale, when there's games for, you know, $3-4, when you're dropping 15 to 20, that is warranting, you know, high quality titles. But I think this is a solid list of titles. Obviously, there's a lot more. As you guys know, I'm one man. I can't play every game on the Steam sale. I know I'm always gonna get comments like that. You gotta start recommending new games. You gotta start, you know, recommending this game, that game. Like, at the end of the day, I'm trying to play all the new games that come out. I have my own backlog of games that I want to play. I have games that I'm trying to replay. Like, bruh, I'm one dude. Like, there's 24 hours of a day in a day, and I gotta sleep as well, and I gotta eat food. Like, I'm trying my best, guys. I'm trying my best, but I'm just obviously kidding. I'm obviously kidding. I'm trying to do the best I can, but nevertheless, that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Links to all of these deals in the description box below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.